Alright everybody, sorry for the longer than usual pause between games, but we are back. We are going to be bringing in Game 3 for you guys today. As you guys see on the screen, we will be seeing Day Wards again, and they're going to be going up against GGNA, the winners, oh no, not the winners from the consolation bracket from yesterday. They did fall to Passion Gaming yesterday, so trying to fight their way back into the Gold Competitive League here against Day Wards here. But my name is Rooster. Thank you for joining me. My co-caster here, Burnout. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Ruster?
I'm doing wonderful. Definitely excited to see more of these awesome team games happen again. We saw some awesome games today and yesterday as well, even though it was cut short with our last two games having to be canceled due to the login issues. But so far, no problems here today, so can't complain about that.
Yeah, I mean, if any of the games today are like the ones like we had yesterday, I'm really excited to cast these, and I'm really excited to get going and just go cast away, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. So we did see, GGNA yesterday, and like we said, Passion Gaming did, take them down and advance further in, but this is their chance to really claw their way back into this. The good thing about these qualifiers is that, just because you lose one doesn't mean your chances are diminished forever and you gotta wait till next season. You still go down to the consolation bracket. You have your way of winning back. If you can win all the way through, you can still almost like, get back into the league.
Alright, well, we're seeing the bans come in here. We have the Dr. Mundo ban for Day Wards, and that's pretty standard. Mundo and Shyvana are pretty broken right now. They're almost unkillable. But the Jax and the Galio bans are a little bit non-standard, so they might be targeted bans. They might see something that we don't know, and they might have done their research on those champions. So only time will tell if those are some targeted bans or not. But Mundo, Shyvana, Vi, it's just very standard bans. Vi's got a very strong jungle presence, especially if you hit that Q. Mundo, very strong top laner. Shyvana, very strong top laner. It's almost impossible to shove them out of lane.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there. And these are really quick bans coming out from both these teams. And yeah, like you said, all these tanky, bruiser, mobile champions. And it seems to be just the way the meta is just falling into place nowadays. Just that defensive masteries, it's just too strong right now. And you couple that with these already innately tanky champions, it's a nightmare to deal with. So neither team wants to have to, take down one of these titans here. But a first pick lock-in from Day Wards with the Annie pickup, and then they're gonna counteract from GGNA with that Thresh and Jarvan pickup.
I like the Jarvan pickup because Jarvan's a very strong jungler still. He's kind of underrated because there's the Elises and the Vi's, but he's still very strong. He does his job very well. I mean, coupled with the Thresh, it's a really strong ganking combination, and they'll be able to set that up very well. An interesting thing is actually Kassadin has been left open, and I'm very surprised he hasn't been picked up yet because Kassadin's really widely considered as a top-tier mid laner right now, and he can snowball very easily, and he's a really versatile champion. He can rift walk all over the place. He may have very unsafe laning early, and he can't really farm very well, but if you just camp his lane and you get him going, he's almost unstoppable late game. And with a bot lane like Annie Jinx, maybe even Annie Tristana, Annie's very strong too, so if that lane's going to be a very strong lane for Day Wards, they might go ahead and pick up that Kassadin. If not, I mean, someone's got to play Kassadin here. He's such a strong champion.
Right. And yeah, like you said, Kassadin is open and is widely considered to be, one of the best AP mids you can pick nowadays. And, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong here, Burnout, a lot of people are playing ADs in the mid lane, which they don't really get strong until that level 6 era. So that allows Kassadin to pretty much, get a little safer laning phase as opposed to him laning against someone else that's AP who's got some potential to lock him down with the jungler. So it just seems like Kassadin, if you're going up against an AD, you have a better shot of making your mark on the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, Kassadin, he doesn't do very well against people who can harass him well, but Kha'Zix and Zed are two typical champions you still see against Kassadin, and Kassadin can farm pretty safely on a turret against them because it's kind of hard to harass them on a turret. And I mean, his early game isn't as safe against mages as it used to be because of the fact they reduced his MR per level. Right. So, I mean, it's really strong to pick a poke champion against a Kassadin. And I'm really surprised to not see him picked yet, but they have the Rumble top. They have a very, very strong team fight combination for GGNA here. And I'm wondering if Day Wards is going to be able to counteract that, because they kind of have a ragtag team that's kind of hard to lock down here so far. They've got building. But the team fight AoE for GGNA is really strong already with the Rumble, the Twitch to Jarvan. I mean, I could see an Orianna come in, and there's the Orianna picked against them, looks like. So I think they kind of saw the same thing here, that they have the huge AoE Wombo combo, and taking away that Orianna is really clutch, because that would make almost unstoppable team fights for GGNA there.
Yeah, that would have been scary. Dayward certainly does not want to let that Orianna slip by to GGNA right there. That Cataclysm and the ulti from Rumble is scary enough. You couple in that command Shockwave and all hell just breaks loose in there. And all the while you're having Twitch just spray and pray over your entire team. It's very, very scary to think about. So, regardless of whether or not they intended to play Orianna to begin with, they simply just cannot leave that on the table for them.
And if you look at it again, the Dayward's actually picked a pretty strong composition against Twitch, being that Twitch doesn't have an escape, even though they gave the Thresh Lantern to him. The fact is that with the Zac and the Udyr can really dive Twitch easily, especially with the Orianna ball onto Zac. It's a great ball delivery system. Orianna's going to be able to get that ball deep in, and they're going to be able to get off some massive shockwaves, especially on the... Well, I guess they're a little bit more mobile now. They have the Kassadin locked in, which I saw. Kassadin's going to have a really tough time in lane here, though. Orianna is very strong against Kassadin, and a good Orianna will not let you even touch creeps. She will zone you so hard from those creeps, and it's not really a good lane for Kassadin. I look to see him take maybe teleport here, so he can maybe sustain in lane better and go back when he needs to and TP back to lane. But both teams looking very strong right now. They both have great opportunities to create team fights and really just control team fights as well. There's a lot of control from both teams, so looks to be like a very exciting mid game we'll see here.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That Orianna Kassadin matchup is going to be nightmare for the Kassadin, because Orianna just has a field day with melee champions. She's just able to use that command protect and just start chucking those auto attacks, and those auto attacks hurt, especially when you get some more AP items as well. Each consecutive hit adds more and more AP damage to them, so you don't want to be taking too many at once. But do you think there could be possibly some sort of a lane swap coming out from GGNA to maybe give Kassadin a little better laning phase? I mean, there's not too many options, because you can't put him up against that Annie Tristana. He'll have a really hard time there as well. But maybe against the Zac, possibly.
I think really the smartest thing they can do here is have just Jarvan camp the mid lane. They're probably going to have that anyways, and it's really going to be up to Udyr here. Leona playing Udyr. It's really going to be up to him to really counter gank and counter jungle the Jarvan. Because if Jarvan can get some good ganks off on Orianna has no escapes. So at level 6, they will be able to all in that Orianna, because she did not take barrier, I don't believe. So they will be able to kill her at level 6. They can force that flash, they can silence her, they can stop her from getting away. So they'll be able to maybe kill her in lane. But pre-6, all Jarvan can really do is just gank her and force her to not harass Kassadin under turret. They don't really have any lane swap options here, because Kassadin will get bullied out by Zac, because Zac has so much sustain. He won't be able to harass him. And against Annie Tristana, that's even worse, because it'll zone him harder under turret. So there's nothing I can really see, unless maybe they have Thresh come middle and just try and zone and have Twitch 1v2 or something like that. But I don't really see that working out.
Right. So we do have results from the poll here, seeing what you guys think is going to win this game up between Daywards and GGNA Esports, and it looks like Daywards does win with 66.6% of the votes. It could be because they're on the blue side. It could be because what we've been discussing about with that mid lane matchup alone that already goes in favor of Daywards. But you cannot discount that R button composition coming out from GGNA. There's just so much threat that is coming out from those team fights. And then not to mention mid to late game, you're having that Kassadin jump in and out to pick off people that have been caught in these ultis earlier. So it's definitely very scary to think about. I can't see this game going longer than 30 minutes if Daywards wants to really run away with it.
Yeah, I mean, GGNA, they have really high snowball potential. Twitch snowballs really well. The Kassadin snowballs well. Rumble's very strong no matter if he gets denied or not, so you could see a lane swap here. I don't think Twitch Thresh really wants to go against Annie Tristana, just because They have a huge amount of burst at level 3. They can just all in that Twitch, and Twitch is fairly squishy early.
Yeah.
So they might do a lane swap here. Rumble's fairly good 1v2. Zach's fairly good 1v2. So Rumble's also just really good without items. Zach kind of needs some items to get going, but Rumble can just fire that equalizer out, and that just does damage no matter what, even with like just sorcerer shoes and haunting guys. So I mean, they have a really strong Draken control with the Jarvan Rumble Twitch, and that's where we're gonna see a lot of plays happen. They're really gonna just go in and control dragon fights, and that's what we're gonna see in the mid game is a lot of dragon fights, I think.
Yeah, so there's just a number of possibilities that GGNA can, whip out here in face of this adversity that they have with this matchup here. They definitely don't want to put that Cassin behind, because as an assassin, the worst thing is falling behind. Assassins are made to just try and do their job, try and get some kills at least in team fights. If you're not even equipped for battle, it's almost like a waste of a champion there.
Yeah, it's really going to depend what Kassadin builds here. You see a lot of Kassadins build different things. Some of them like to get Rod of Ages and Seraphs.
Yeah.
Some just go right for the Archangel Staff. And then we're seeing a kind of a new build come out of Europe a little bit. And it's the Chalice, the Athene's Unholy Grail, and the Rod of Ages. And that one's kind of good because it gets you tanky and you can sustain in lane a little bit, spam out your spells. But it's a lower damage build, and then you have to really get to late game. Rushing the Archangel Staffs gives you instant damage. It lets you scale up that shield really quickly and stack up that tier, and just rift walk more. So it's really going to depend what Kassadin goes here.
Yeah. So folks, we are loading into game 3. We have this game and another game left for you after this one. And for blue side, we have Day Wards. We have Revox playing Annie support again. She did a wonderful job earlier in that game. You saw her. Iron Kwan playing Tristana as the marksman. Leona will be playing Udyr in the jungle. Hill of Shovel will be playing Zac up in the top lane. And Bright Nova will be playing Orianna in the mid lane. And
for GGNA, we have the Youngster playing Thresh, playing the support. We have Radium XX on Jarvan in the jungle. We have Blitzkrieger on Rumble. We have... Oh, I missed that. I'm sorry. We have Fallen Crusade on Kassadin. And we have Zonya's X on Twitch in the AD carry.
Alright, so both teams running towards the bottom side. We could be seeing some early action going on here.
Yeah, it looks like GGNA is kind of grouped up and they're going to go for an invade. Probably get some wards down on the red buff. But Tristana is walking in here and she might get caught up by the death sentence.
Oh.
She's not careful.
Oh, she does get caught by a beautiful death sentence. Here's the null spheres flying out. The barrier is actually popped. Might not have needed to use that barrier, but maybe that flash was all that was needed. But that fear didn't want to risk losing that first blood.
You can see there that Tristana actually leveled up her E before she got to lane, and had she waited to level up an ability, she could have actually saved both of her summoners and just W'd over the wall. Because once they burned that death sentence, they had really no follow-up CC after the silence, and Twitch wasn't even there yet. So I think maybe just some panic there before she flashed over the wall and just barriered.
Yeah, so that's a good point you mentioned. That is why it's very important not to skill up until you absolutely have to. When the creeps hit the other team's creeps, and you're in the lane, you know what you can select there. Because moments like these, you never know when you're going to get invaded on. And if you have an escape move, it's better to use that and set yourself back a little bit for another level until you get the main skill you were hoping to skill with first, and save those two summoners.
Yeah, because now that they're going to be very unsafe in lane, and if they get caught by a death sentence in lane, it's probably going to mean a kill because there's no barrier now on that Tristana. And her level 1 and 2 aren't that strong. It's when she gets to level 3 and 4, she has a little bit of a power spike up to level 6, and then she starts to fall off a bit more in the late game, which is where Twitch really shines. So, I mean, they got to play really safe in the lane here.
And we're seeing Revex got that stun up available and not afraid to show herself in that bottom lane. She knows that Tristana doesn't have her summoners, but yes, she's still playing with the mindset that he does, which is a very, very bold move. But it's a confidence move because she knows what she can do. But actually, a quick level 2 gank does land on Bright Nova, forces out the flash, and that's all you can really expect at level 2. A beautiful gank by Radium there.
Yeah, and exactly what I was saying in the pre-game chat. They have to camp the Kassadin. They already forced the flash on Orianna, so that means Jarvan can come right back to that lane after he finishes his red buff. The Udyr did the long way around again, like we saw yesterday. Vi did that earlier, and he did his wolves before going right to his red buff. And usually you'd start red buff on Udyr so that you can go to your blue buff, and then you could probably invade because Udyr's like the king of counter jungling, as we've seen Trick 2G kind of like show us. But he decided not to, and decided to do a full clear. So that really opened up Jarvan to gank mid lane and force that flash early.
Yeah, down at bottom, Youngster landed a nice death sentence, but just gonna rocket jump out of there, which is, you know, if you're quick with the Thresh Flay, you can actually interrupt that rocket jump mid jump and keep her down into the ground. So it's a helpful tip for all you Thresh players out there.
Yeah, Tristana's jump's like a really weird skill, I think, because like sometimes you can interrupt it, and then sometimes you can like use a skill and it won't even affect her at all. And it's just sometimes it's really a frustrating skill to go against, but you can also set her back really hard. And Orianna's been forced back already. She had no mana. She burned through all of her mana just pushing that wave. And Cassidy's keeping up in CS. He's only 4 CS down. Orianna's flash is burned. So look to see Jarvan go back. And he's trying to go top, but it's not going to happen for him right now. But he should really go back to mid lane and capitalize on the flash that he burned earlier.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. Make sure, you know, when you're playing a jungler, you know, you don't always have to get kills. Getting the summoners is very important, but the most important thing is making sure you're ganking that lane again before that summoner cools down. But in mid lane, Leona's going to just waltz by here right in front of Cassidy just to show his presence there, you know, just to provide Orianna a little bit of some moral support.
Yeah, and actually we saw the Cassidy start Doran's Ring here, and usually you'll see Cassidy kind of start like Crystalline Flask or Fairy Charm or something like that just to have a lot of sustain in lane. So he's very confident in his ability to play Cassidy here, actually, and he's very confident in the matchup and the jungle support he's going to get. So it's a really bold pickup, because if it didn't work out for him, he'd be really far behind and he wouldn't be able to farm and sustain in lane.
Right. So it does look like Dayward spotted Cassidy warding that bottom bush. It was actually pinged out by Orianna there, so might see a little bit of a gank coming out from the other end there, but meanwhile Udyr's around the bottom side, so both junglers just taking their time farming right now, as all lanes are pretty much in a stalemate, just push right down in the middle with the exception of Zac, but they're both super low up there after numerous amounts of trades, and they don't want to, you know, you can tell both top laners aren't underestimating the other. They know the power of Zac, the tankiness and sustain, and also Zac understands the power of Rumble there with all his flame spitter damage and the harpoons.
Yeah, and actually you can see here that Rumble started to build up a CS advantage over Zac by about 10, which is a little bit expected because of the range harass. But on the other side, Orianna has almost over a 10 CS advantage. Tristana has almost a 10 CS advantage, so they're really starting to build advantages here. And that's just the power of Annie's support. Annie can just all in you, and she can solo your AD carry by herself, just because of her base damages are so high. And I'm surprised that they haven't really like hit her with a nerf back, because she's been so strong for so long. And they've really hit other supports before that. Like they hit Taric, they hit Nami, Janna, Sona. Lulu.
The missed command shockwave in mid lane, that's going to hurt Orianna's kill chances, but actually still tries to go for that last auto attack ignite. Will it be enough to take him down? No, just left with 10 HP, but man, if that shockwave would have hit, that would have been more than enough for that kill. But at bot lane, trades are going off at all corners right now, but yeah, both bot lanes are pretty weak, as Radium is going to take a trip up here to help Blitzkrieger out. Here comes the equalizer. Forces the Zac to jump a little bit downwards, but the EQ combo was missed. Here comes, wow, let's bounce. He's actually turning around the fight. Gets actually the first blood on Rumble, and Leona's going to come by and protect the Zac blobs. Can he jump out of there? No, he throws a standard, but does not have the mana to Dragon Strike to it.
And that was just Zac knowing his champion and his abilities so well there. Hill of Shovel knew that Udyr was coming up, but he knew that Leona was going to be there, and he knew that if he popped Let's Bounce after Rumble used his shield, after it timed out, that he could actually grab the kill on him. And that was just really good understanding of his champion's abilities and how much damage he was going to be able to do, and just a really great counter gank by Leona as well. So great play by Daywards there.
Yeah, that was beautiful confidence coming out from Hill of Shovel. And that's the most important thing when you're playing these champions, especially if you're in a solo lane like that. You know, matchups do play a part in, you know, success of the lane, but also your comfort level with the champ. You can tell Pillow Shovel knew exactly what he was doing. He knew he was going to walk out with that kill, and like you said, he knew Leona was coming up to protect his blob, so he had no problems going all in and getting that kill.
Exactly, and you can really see how Jarvan's he's kind of falling behind here, but we are seeing Cassidy coming down to the bottom lane for a gank, but he was spotted up by a ward.
Yeah, that ward in the bush was a dead giveaway, but they're going to get slowed on the Revex, and actually a nice flash and a buster shot to push out that Thresh, so a little bit of wasted time, but they did manage to drain a summoner out of Annie.
And we are seeing almost a 2k gold lead here, and Leona on Udyr is just starting to really out-pressure Jarvan, because he's out-farming Jarvan, he's being where he needs to be, and the lanes are mostly winning.
Orianna actually does steal the red buff with the command shockwave as Radium is doing it. They're trying to deny this Jarvan, and they're doing a wonderful job just taking care of this. But wow, Cassidy walks nearly into a Udyr and Orianna combo. That would have spelled disaster.
Yeah, and exactly what I was saying is they're really starting to shut down this Jarvan. He's not getting any successive ganks. He didn't really follow up on that original gank onto Orianna after he forced that flash. And he's falling behind his CS. You can see Udyr is almost 30 CS up on him. He's like about 25 CS up on him. Orianna's almost 30 CS up on Kassadin. 10 CS in the bot lane. The only lane that's behind is the Zac lane in CS, but he's got the kill and the assist onto Rumble. So every lane is winning, and that's just going to let Udyr counter jungle because he's going to get that support.
Oh wow, a bold move coming out from Fallen Crusade. He knows that command shockwave is not going to be up for just a little bit under a minute, but jumping head on into a person that can shield himself and does extra damage with auto attacks, that's pretty ballsy there.
Yeah, especially with the red buff. That's not really a trade you want to do with Orianna because those auto attacks are really going to hurt. They're going to apply that true buff, that true damage buff onto you, the burn, and it's really going to hurt you. So he's got to be really careful with his trades. Yeah. And they're looking for the dragon right now, and they're probably going to get this for free. I can't really see them contesting with Jarvan so low.
Yeah, they did it so quickly there. They made the call, and all four of them grouped. It was just a beautiful rotation coming out from Day Awards at a very timely moment. They knew that Orianna had that little advantage over Kassadin, so Kassadin wouldn't be jumping in at that time. So beautifully timed.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that really Udyr is starting to control the pace of this game. He's really just being where he needs to be. He's gotten that dragon for them. He's got a huge advantage over Jarvan, and it's because of the mobility that he has. Udyr can just get around so fast. He can counter gank. He can counter jungle. He can clear the jungle pretty quickly. And when your lanes are ahead of Udyr, you just get free reign over the enemy jungler, especially if they're behind. So Jarvan really needs to do something. He needs to really pull off a gank if he wants to get back in this game.
Yeah, just look at the confidence in the way Day Awards is playing right now. You see Annie, every time that stun is up, just staking herself out in front of the enemy team's minions, almost daring the Thresh to throw the death sentence onto her, because if she can soak up all the CCs, that frees up Tristana to just rocket jump in and do everything after Annie unleashes the Tibbers onto both the Thresh and the Twitch.
And yeah, Annie can solo out Twitch right now. She's doing a lot of damage. The death sentence does hurt though.
And actually, Tristana's going to jump all the way in. The barrier does go down. Oh, they're caught by the nice box wall. They can't take the Annie down. Oh, the final Disintegrate does take him down, but they do trade the kill for Annie as well.
That might have been a little bit overzealous by Tristana there. She didn't really need to jump in because Annie didn't have aggro. Had Annie had aggro there, that would have been a better jump in per se. But you can also see there another instance of Kassadin just going in, not getting anything. His roams are for nothing right now.
Yeah.
And he's just losing on more CS. I mean, he really needs to get a kill to get going, and he's falling behind by 40 CS now, and so he's going to become irrelevant pretty soon if he doesn't get going.
Yeah, it's so difficult to come back against, Orianna. She just has such an easy time farming as it is. If you're already down in CS in the laning phase, it's not going to help as it gets further into the game. Actually, Rumble getting dove on at the tower. Equalizer does go down. Ignite does go down as well. The blobs are going down, but that passive is going to keep him alive for a little bit longer. Jarvan's trying to get there in time to pick up the remains, but I don't think he has enough to take down the Zac. The Zac has got 3 levels on the Jarvan. Oh, the Flash Cataclysm, but a return flash from Zac, and there's no EQ combo that's going to be able to hit that elastic slingshot.
Yeah, and Jarvan's just getting desperate at this point. He flashed and he went chasing a kill when he really should have rotated to the mid lane because they got a lot of free damage on that inner turret. And Twitch is going down right here.
The shockwave does go down, and Udyr just easily tanks that turret damage for a couple of hits, providing that bear stun there. And Kassadin's going to get by a second too late, and so is Jarvan too.
And it just looks like the lane, they picked stronger lanes in the laning phase, and then the only lane that wasn't winning, Udyr was able to camp. Because Jarvan couldn't really get anything going on the Tristana any lane, he couldn't really lock down that Orianna because Orianna escaped that initial gank. He never really returned there, and so the only lane that was actually losing was the top lane, and Udyr went there and snowballed that. So now Zach can just
flash grab, and they're gonna jump on the round Quan right there. Tibbers does go down as a defensive measure, but the ignite has been going on. Radium gets the final kick on the Tristana right there, but a lot of low HP bars from just Annie and Tristana there, but they're just sticking around. But Orianna's coming by. Annie doing a wonderful job. Actually dodges the EQ combo. Flashes right out of it. Here comes a nice death sentence, but it's going to whiff right there. Blitzkrieger jumps by, but forces the flash out of Bright Nova. There's no command shockwave just yet. Equalizer's going to be an easy pickup for them. But wow, Kassadin and everyone are on the front lines trying to get that kill for Udyr. They might even get the kill on Revax here. Blitzkrieger tanking at the very edge of the turret aggro. Turret is going to kill Twitch. Wow, what an exchange.
Yeah, a lot of kills going down for both teams. Rumble and Twitch getting a couple kills there. Jarvan picking up a kill there. So they're kind of starting to get back in the game. Kassadin did get 3 assists, but this game would be actually a lot different had Kassadin got those kills. If Kassadin got those kills, he would have been able to finish that Rod of Ages, and he really would have been able to start snowballing. He would have been able to roam. He would have been able to bully Orianna in lane. But as it is now, he's still pretty far behind. I mean, Orianna's got 50 CS up on him. She's got that Athene's finished. She's got 5,000 gold. He's got 3,200. He's 1,800 gold behind her right now, and
wow,
that's a full item almost. So he really needs to figure out how to get back in this game. He needs combat stats quickly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Those 3 assists, although they help, those 3 kills would have definitely secured that Rod of Ages purchase there, which he desperately needed to even combat the Orianna 1v1 here. But Pillow Shovel interrupting Radium again at the red. They really don't want him to get these buffs, and they're doing a great job denying it. Forcing out the flash out of Blitzkrieger. He's going to jump back out, but yeah, they're just going to rotate out of this. They don't want any part of a little close quarter fight with the Zac ulti, especially with the Shockwave available too.
Yeah, and right now, the team fight from Day Wards is just too strong. They have Udyr able to stun up people. Udyr walking in, Kassadin nearly getting caught there, but they have so much control in team fights with the Zac, Let's Bounce, with the Tibbers, with the Orianna Shockwave. Picking away that Orianna from GGNA was a really, really smart pickup. And it's really what's winning them the game right now. Orianna just has so much control. Hook does land. Oh! Tibbers goes down.
A 3-man Tibbers does land by Revax there. And the beautiful Shockwave knocks the whole team of just a ride. The Cataclysm is down, locking him down. But Twitch is spraying and praying freely away. Got so many low HP bars. Revax and Leona are going to be able to walk out of there. But that was quite a setup for both teams. It really, it looked like it was going one team's way, and then someone popped an ulti on the other team and shifted it back. It was crazy shift of ultis there.
And a 1-for-1 right now for GGNA is a really good trade. When you're behind when you're behind 5k gold, and you can get a 1-for-1 trade, that's really, really strong. They're going to be able to come back a little bit. Kassadin should be able to finish off that Rod of Ages. Rumble's starting to kind of power up. He's going to get that Rylai soon. When Twitch gets that Infinity Edge... Oh, and Thresh getting caught out here.
Oh, yeah. Youngster's going to get made quick work of with that Udyr just coming right out of the shadows there. And that's probably one of the scariest things you can see if you don't have any vision. Just an Udyr running in bear stance at you. But, yeah, Dragon is up, and that is a highly contested area right now. You can see Dayward's rushing right to there, and they actually did see that Kassadin and Thresh were thinking about recalling in that ward, on that bush with the ward on it. So they knew that they could easily rush that objective, and they get the second dragon.
Yeah, and they're just building on their gold lead. They have almost a 6k gold lead. They might get this mid turret. No, Jarvan's going to zone Orianna off, but tons of damage on that inner mid turret. They got lost top turret. Bot turret went down. It's 3-0 right now, and